Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the UTV Podcast. We're here at Hollywood Golf Club, the home of the Masters champion, Rory McIlroy, and I'm glad to say I'm joined by UTV Sport correspondent Ruth Gorman and our Northwest reporter Jordan Muir. Well, what a 24 hours it has been, what an 11-year wait for Rory since the original meltdown in the Masters. Ruth, sum up the last 24 hours.
Well, can I just say I think we're all in green here. And I just want to highlight the jacket because I bought this jacket about a year ago but would not allow myself to wear it until Rory won the Masters, so it's making its first outing today. I'm a bit delirious, as you can probably tell by me talking about my jacket. I feel like I haven't slept. I don't know how on earth Rory feels right now, or anyone in his team or family, because I still feel sick and it's nearly 24 hours later. That was absolutely insane, unbelievable, incredible, mental. I don't know what else to say other than I can't believe what we witnessed. It was just unbelievable emotion, unbelievable skill, unbelievable golf, unbelievable, character, unbelievable resilience. Rory McIlroy, you are amazing.
Rory has been on this journey to win the Masters. What made this year different?
I think he has had so many heartbreaks. He talked about this in the build-up to the Masters. He talked about going through all the disappointments and learning from those. We all remember the 2011 meltdown. We talked about that at the start. That was the start of the heartbreak, I think, for Rory. But this year he has just got that. Paul McGinley calls it the steeliness, the pointy elbows. He seemed to have got that back again. It was a different Rory this year at the Masters than what we've seen. I don't know if you guys agree, but he looked different.
Yeah, I think for me, when McIlroy in 2011 had that meltdown, I remember watching it in my bedroom. I was P7 maybe, and my dad had told me to go to bed, turn the TV off, so I was sort of watching it with a volume on zero. And I was a kid then, I was 11 years old, and I'm now, a fully grown adult. That's how long that's been since that meltdown. And I think the longer it went on, the more close misses he had. Last year at the US Open was very, very hard to take. US Open the year before, there was obviously the Open itself when Cam Smith won. And there were so many near misses, and they almost just kept getting worse and worse. The heartache each time seemed to be worse. It was closer each time to winning it. The lines became finer each one, and I thought when he stepped up in 18 and he had that putt in regulation to win and it slipped by, I thought it's happening again. And it kind of, Rose didn't play the playoff hole bad. Rose stepped up, hit it in the middle, hit it to 15 feet. He did everything right, and McIlroy just wasn't phased. And I think that's the first time I've seen that. And I think the bounce back ability he's had, every double bogey he made, he bounced back from. He made a couple of birdies. Even, at the start of that round, double bogey on one. A couple of years ago, Rory McIlroy would have crumbled. But he didn't. And, and then double bogey in 13, you'd have thought he'd have crumbled after that, and he didn't. And I think you're right, it's that there is a difference there, and I think it's maybe taken him a while to figure that out and get that back. But I definitely think it's the Rory McIlroy I remember watching in majors when I was a kid compared to the one I remember watching last couple of years, which is good to see.
Yeah, it's really good to see. It's very exciting, isn't it, going forward? I think he mentioned after winning the Players, so he obviously won 2 PGA Tour events leading into this year's Masters, which he hasn't done before, so winning 2 events in America is huge before the Masters. And he mentioned in the press conference after winning the Players that a real turning point for him was the Irish Open. He mentioned that because he said, yes, the US Open was devastating for him, but the Irish Open was really disappointing as well. And he felt like he turned a bit of a corner the week later at the BMW at Wentworth. He lost in the playoff to Billy Horschel, but he said, I felt like I played really well, and he did play really well. Billy played out of his skin to win that playoff, but Rory said that's how I want to play, and he got that feeling back, and that's when the turning point was. So that disappointment of losing the Irish Open, he bogeyed the 15th and the 17th at Royal County Down, and the stage was set for him a few miles down the road from here. It was going to be another fairy tale, and that slipped by him as well. I think there's only so many times this can all slip by you before you grab it by the scruff of the neck and you go, I'm not letting this go. And, you know, when he did miss that putt on the 18th last night, I actually physically thought he was going to break down. He looked like he was just absolutely a broken man, and rightly so. I mean, we all went through the ringer watching him. How must he have felt? So he was absolutely devastated to miss that opportunity there. But he came back, and yes, in maybe a few years gone by, he wouldn't have. He maybe would have crumbled to Rose, and everyone was talking about how well Rose was putting, and then Rory hits a perfect drive, a perfect approach, and knocks it in. You know, it was just incredible. But I feel like all those moments of heartbreak along the way have got him to this point. He has learned so much. To talk about, you know, you talk about that, all the hardships and what you learn from it, and you know, diamonds are made whenever you go through all that cut and rough and all the rest of it. So he's a diamond, and he's got Harry Diamond on the bag, who's also a diamond. So there you go. Did you see him talking about Harry after?
It was so emotional, wasn't it? There's no question Harry's had his critics over the years, because this dry spell in terms of majors has coincided in Harry taking over in the bag, like, so he has to take a lot of credit clearly, and you know, a very good golfer himself. There's a photograph of him upstairs as a young amateur here, and
he won the West of Ireland too, didn't he? As an amateur,
that's right. And played in an Irish Open in 2012 at Royal Portrush as well, and it's special for him, special for his family. And just, you touched on the Irish Open. All three of us were lucky to be there that day. Obviously it wasn't the result that we wanted, but to me that was a real eye-opener to me, because the emotion behind that, you know, huge crowds, 30,000 people there, and everybody wanted McIlroy to win, and he's really, really important to the people here in Northern Ireland and Ireland, you know, and the groundswell of emotion last night and today, there's a real feel-good factor. You know, how important is Rory McIlroy to Northern Ireland, not just in sport but in society? He
transcends sport, doesn't he, Jordan?
I think the Irish Open, we were in the 18th fairway, and he had to make eagle to force a playoff, and we were in the middle of the fairway, kind of good bit back, and as soon as he hit that 9-iron into the heart of the green, we went from being, you know, inside the ropes to being 10 rows back. Everybody just went flying down to see that putt, and it, you know, we said at the time it felt like a major championship, and there were people there who don't watch golf. I have, you know, friends of mine who don't watch golf, they don't follow golf. Last night, every group chat I was in was going mental. Every putt he hit, I was on a flight last night coming home from Liverpool, and everyone on that flight when the plane landed was like, what's he doing now? How many holes is he on? Is he still leading? How's it going? And you wouldn't see that with any other sports star here, I don't think. And I think it's maybe, like, he is the best golfer in the world at the minute. He has been consistently the best golfer in the world for 10, 15 years. But he has that, like, approachability that not many people have. And I think people like humans like that. Like, sport is sport, but a lot of sport is about the human element. And McIlroy sort of encompasses life, I think, as a whole. You know, you can work hard, you can put the effort in, you can be extremely talented, you can do everything right, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. And we've seen that with McIlroy so many times, but he keeps coming back. Doesn't matter how many times he gets hit, he gets up, he comes back. And last night was just, you know, the entire round was a microcosm of his career and of life in general. Ups and downs, and it depends what happens and how you take those downs and whether you come back up from them. And I think that's why he's so approachable and why everybody loves him.
Yeah,
you know?
I think there was a big turning point with regards to fans at the last Open at Royal Portrush. He missed the cut. Huge pressure on his shoulders to come out and win the Open that he had helped get here. He was a big driving force in bringing it back to Northern Ireland. He felt the pressure. There's no doubt. You know, out of bounds on the first. You know, Rory can play that shot in his sleep. Yeah. The pressure was huge on his shoulders, and he talked about that after. And he obviously came back, and that was an incredible stand ovation on the 18th on the Friday when he missed the cut. He just left it a bit too late, but he broke down. He broke down talking to the media after that, and that side of Rory has become more and more, I suppose, evident in the last few years. I don't know whether it's, you know, age, whether it's getting older, whether it's because I think probably since he's become a dad, we've seen a much more emotional Rory, because it brings out that side. But he's far more relatable, as you say, Jordan. He's a lot more relatable than just the man playing golf who's amazing but lives halfway across the world. Everyone tunes in to watch Rory McIlroy. There's no one that gets bigger crowds, bar Tiger Woods, than Rory McIlroy. And that's crazy stuff, because you know, Tiger's much more than a sports person, Rory is much more than a sports person, but what's lovely is that he's a genuine lovely person on top of it. He hasn't lost himself in the middle of the craziness. I've been really, really privileged to follow a lot of Rory's career, and I've seen everyone want a bit of Rory McIlroy. Everyone wants him. Everyone wants. I've walked around. I was so privileged to be at the Open when he won in 2014 at Royal Liverpool.
Oh, yeah.
And I was following him on a practice round, and people were literally throwing themselves out at him and saying, Rory, give me your ball. Rory, give me your hat. Rory, give me this. Give me. And it wasn't even like, hi Rory, how are you? Can I please have your ball? It was, give me your ball. Give me your hat, Rory. I thought, my goodness, you imagine the Scousers, we Scousers running about grabbing, like shouting that. And I remember walking up to the tee with him and saying, how do you cope with this? You do so well to deal with this, because
it's like Beatlemania.
Oh, it was, but it's how he handles himself, and that is a testament to how he's been brought up by Jerry and Rosie, who are amazing, have been amazing parents to him from day one. They've obviously backed him. We all know the backstory of working a few jobs to fund him and see the potential in him. But they've brought up an absolute gem of a gentleman, never mind a superstar golfer.
Yeah. I think it is that humanity to him. And you look at other sports stars who are dominant in their sports, the likes of Max Verstappen at the minute in Formula 1, absolutely dominant athlete, but you know, he just doesn't have that human touch. And I think that it makes him more relatable. It makes people feel that, you know, he could be my son, he could be my brother, he could, you know, be one of my friends. And if they were in that situation, how would I feel? Because most sports stars, they are human, they do have emotions, but most of them hide it. And when they hide it, you then sort of think, oh, well, you know, maybe they don't care that much. Maybe, you know, I didn't want him to win anyway. Just, you know, doesn't seem like he cares. Whereas Rory does just seem like, even though nobody, you know, very few people here actually do know him personally, you feel like you do, I think, you know, because you know so many people like him. Yeah. And that makes a big difference, I think, in his likability and, you know, almost approachability in that way too, I think.
Yeah, the Ryder Cup was another one, wasn't it, when he broke down?
Yeah.
That's right. How much playing it as part of a team meant to him as well.
And that was another big human part that you can't help but love about McIlroy. Sorry, to go back to your original question, we've gone off on a bit of a tangent there, but to go back to your original question of how much does he mean to everyone here, I think everyone is so proud of him. Everyone is so proud that he's from here. Even if you're not from Hollywood itself, you're from this wee part of the world. We are a wee tiny thing on the map, and Rory McIlroy, who is an absolute superstar, is from here, and everyone feels attached to that and proud of that. But as Jordan has already said, because of the human aspect, and he is so honest. Like he's a journalist's dream in that he is so honest in his answers. How many times have we seen down through the years him say something and then backtrack maybe a few years later saying, "Oh, I probably shouldn't have said that." Yeah. But that's why we love him.
Exactly.
How many times have we done interviews where it's like, "Yeah, I want to win. Yeah, it's going to be tough. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the challenge." Like
take it one day at a time.
Stuff.
That's Rory.
Yeah.
That's Rory, and that's why we love him. And long may it continue. Yeah. And you know, he's achieved everything he has ever wanted to achieve. But boy, I hope he keeps playing for so many years, because it's just amazing to watch. We'll never have to go through that again of the Rory coaster, as it was called, because of you know, the emotions and the ups and the downs of winning a Grand Slam. He's done that now. Can you believe we're actually saying that? Yeah. He's won the Grand Slam. How privileged are we?
It's only the sixth golfer of all time. You think about all the greats.
We'll be, for years, it'll be, where were you when Rory won the Grand Slam?
I think it was one of those stats I seen. There were 12 people have stepped on the moon in the last 55 years. There's only been 2 people to complete the career Grand Slam. I think is an incredible, you know, statistic, considering it's so hard to win in golf. You know, every week you go out there, there's on average at least 100 other people you're up against, and you have to be you have to be the best of those 100. It's not like a game of football where you have to beat one other team, or, you know, darts where it's knockout and you only have to beat maybe 5 people to win. Like, you have to beat 100 people every single week if you want to win. And I think Tiger made it look very, very easy. And Rory kind of came on the scene, won 4 in a row, well, 4 in 3 or 5 years, whatever it was, and you know, everybody thought he's going to go on and win 10, 12. I remember Ernie Els at the time saying, I think he can get to 20. And we had to remember at the time, he was 23 years of age, 24 when that happened. And, you know, people forget he was basically a child. And I think that drought, people forget, they think, oh, he's just fallen off the boil. But nobody in that time has won more majors. You know, he's still the most successful golfer major-wise since he won his first major to now, including Brooks Koepka. And, you know, sometimes your luck just doesn't go your way. And I think that bounce back ability has just been incredible. And I didn't think he would ever do it. I thought it would be the, you know, sort of the forgotten dream or something.
Oh, you have little faith,
yeah,
Jordan.
I know.
I bought this
Never
jacket. I bought this jacket knowing that one day I would get to wear it. So, no, you're absolutely right. Like the bounce back ability and that resilience. He's talked about that a lot, about how that's what he's most proud of, the fact that he just has been able to keep coming back, and he's the most consistent golfer that we have ever watched. And people are really hard on him who probably don't know the game of golf, and say, oh, he choked, he didn't do it again. You've no idea the pressure that was on his shoulders. We have no idea. I mean, my blood pressure was through the roof, and I was probably close to heart attack, and I was just sitting watching it at home. What must he have felt? And for all those years, I mean, we saw the outpour. It was so special watching those images from the 18th green, the outpouring of emotion. Like, because no one else, no other Masters champion has had that pressure on their shoulders. No one has had that. No one has had that for that length of time on their shoulders of a career Grand Slam and a Masters, and then the majors right on top of it. And everybody, he talked about it after. He said, you know, I've had all these people come in and sit in this chair, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, Tiger Woods, all come in and say, Rory's going to win this one day. He was like, I wish they hadn't said it, because the pressure that put on him. He's like, that's an amazing compliment. They're all people I admired and heroes of mine.